Amplified, where we engage experts, teachers and learners making an impact in South Africa and the education system. Namhlanje, Andian Dodwa. I've never come on this podcast alone. I am joined by incredible guests from the University of Pretoria, and I have with me my co-host, and she will introduce herself. But yes, today we are speaking to the roadmap for change activation, going to various universities in South Africa who are partner universities with the Jakes Chaval Fellowship, getting a sense of what it means to be an applicant who is applying to be at JGF, but also knowing the ins and outs and the hacks of what it means to apply to one of our partner universities. And with that said, we have Professor Wasserman and we have Nikita from UP. And I'm going to hand over to you, Prof. Wasserman. Where are you from? What are you about? And what are you most popular for?
I'm the head of Department of Humanities Education. I'm originally from KwaZulu-Natal. The PGCE falls in my department. I'm also the coordinator for the PGCE. What am I famous for? Well, T-shirts and shorts. I believe you need to, as per the Constitution, be allowed to express your civil liberty. And you can do that through clothing and who you are. And so my staff has made me a T-shirt with all the kind of supposed things I say, like, Angas, it is what it is. And on a special day, I'll wear those T-shirts. So I'm not sure whether that's framed, but that is the best I can offer.
I'll say Prof. Cool. Nikita.
Yes, so I'm born and raised in Pretoria, and I'm the PGC assistant here, so I work very closely with Prof. Wasserman. And what am I best known for? I'm not sure. Don't want to toot my own horn, but I think maybe just the happiness to help wherever, And yeah,
spirit of service, the spirit of service. Katlego, you are my co-host today. Where are you from, Katlego, and what are your teaching subjects?
I'm Katlego, and I am a student, currently a PGC student here at the University of Pretoria. I've studied my undergrad here at the University of Pretoria. I've been a student for quite a while. And my teaching subjects are life sciences and mathematics.
Right then. So for everyone who is watching and listening, please, you know the drill. Get a hold of our social media platforms where you can engage further on this here topic. And to kick off our podcast recording today, Prof. Wasserman, what distinguishes the UP PGCE program from any other program in the country?
Sure, that is an interesting question. Almost like a politician said, it's a hard question. Next question, but interesting in the sense that I think we all have to adhere to Mr. Tech as the policy and as the framework. But at UP, we really, in steering close to that policy, we're very happy to take students who have the appropriate degrees. We do not create a second barrier. For many students to go to university is already an immense achievement. It's an immense achievement to achieve a degree, and to suddenly say, sorry, you need 55 or 60 or 65 in a certain subject is highly problematic. So if you have achieved your degree and it's been awarded by your university and it's recognized by SAQA, you can apply on condition that you have the appropriate teaching subjects. What distinguishes us also is we truly believe that it is not necessary to have a certain number of students in class to offer a methodology, in the sense that we have our methodologies and our specializations which students can apply for. And a classical example is consumer studies. Some years we have 15. This year we have 1 student. You cannot suddenly tell that student once, because there were more applicants, we cannot suddenly say, sorry, please go away, we can't. So we appoint a person to teach that single student, because that's the right thing to do, and society needs those teachers. I think possibly the third thing is that we really, really go the extra mile in supporting and accommodating students. We do not have capping of numbers. We do not have a sense of saying, well, I don't think you'll fit. We multilingual, multicultural, multi-everything, and the important thing is to get the best possible students into schools to transform it in the education sector for the better of all children of this country, and the teachers in the PGC are the ones that's going to do it.
Yeah. So there's this thinking around prestige that is always embodied by like the kind of the numbers within a particular program, and people saying, you know what, more than 100 or more than 200 in a stream compromises the quality of the actual course. What's your response to that?
Yeah, I think quality is a very strange and complex and loaded term. Remember, all the PGC students that enroll here already have proven themselves as students. They already have degrees. If I can stick my neck, they're all quality already. We do underpin large classes that we have from our core modules with tutor support, Nikita supports further in terms of a role as administrator, assistant coordinator in that regard. I don't think so. I think we are not talking about first-year students who come from a diverse range of schooling institutions, and it's the first time that they enter higher education. We have seasoned students. We sometimes get students with master's degrees. And we proudly say at the University of Pretoria, the PGC is an interesting qualification that attracts students from across the country. We suddenly get ideas flowing from universities and students from those universities we normally wouldn't encounter. Not everyone is from our home institution. And suddenly you come in a class and you have students from the University of Limpopo, University of Venda, University of Cape Town, University of Fort Hare, and that's a wonderful knowledge mix. And that knowledge mix is what possibly gives us quality. So we're not inward looking. We're not only saying it's the UP way is the only way. There's other knowledges that enhances that experience to make people to be better teachers, and those are teachers that can be leaders and change society and change specifically the education landscape positively.
Thank you so much, Prof. Katlego, do you have a question?
The first question that I have was answered by the question that you asked, Prof. It was, does having a degree qualify one for PGC at UP, and what are the considerations? So like, Prof, I think you've already answered.
If I may, and I think that's, for everyone out there, you must really understand that there's a legal framework that guides you in terms of being able to enter the PGCE. And that's what we call colloquially the Mr. Tech document. And if you don't adhere to that, you might end up with a PGCE, but the challenge is this African Council of Education will not recognize your PGC qualifications. You have a qualification, but you're not professionally certified. And that is very, very important. So maybe if you're in a degree program or still at school thinking about teaching, make sure that you understand what teaching subjects are necessary and offered, and which ones are offered, for example, in this case, the University of Pretoria, within the PGC program. So take that responsibility, that you're not disappointed when you come here. We have in excess of 10,000 applications every year for the PGC. And one of our challenges is we have really a large number of students who suddenly find themselves in deep, deep distress because their wonderful degree does not allow them legally into the PGCE. Simply put, sociology, political science will not allow you into becoming a history teacher. You need to have history up to third year level. And I think it's important to understand. So thank you for that, for allowing me to kind of elaborate on that question.
Yeah. Nikita, you have seen streams of applications come through this year department. What has been the common thread between all applications that have been rejected?
So I think the most common and the saddest part of the applications for me is when I see there's a student who is in a degree that, like Prof said, doesn't necessarily allow them into the PGCE if they're doing social political sciences and they would like to do history, then they realize way too late that they need history as a module. Then they only have that module in their second and third year. So they don't have it up to NQF level 7, which is what we require. But I think what students don't realize, and if they don't ask for permission for this, is we actually do allow them to take one module concurrently with their PGCE. So there's still hope for students who need just one extra module, but they don't know that. And some of them, I think, I don't have the last semester of this module, so I'm not going to apply. They're not aware of those things. And then they miss out because they don't apply.
So how does one come to get to know this process, right, of the opportunity of just recouping that module? Is it on the form that if you don't have this, you can recover by getting this module? How do people get access to this kind of unique knowledge about the application process?
So I think that they need to get into contact with us. And we are very good. We answer emails every day. We talk to students. We want to talk with them. But I think some students are too afraid to ask these questions. And they assume, I'm not going to qualify. So then they never apply. But they just need to reach out. All of our contact information is readily available online. They just need to talk to us.
So in essence, everyone listening, if you feel like you qualify and then you feel like you don't qualify, or you are in the mix where you don't know whether you qualify or not, Nikita has said herself that they are available to take in any kind of queries. And who knows, in you asking about a question, you find another opportunity to better the standing that you currently have. Yeah. And I'm quite curious about you, Katlego, and your own process of applying for PGCE. Was it a smooth process, as we understand smooth to be? Or did you find that you had to lean on to Nikita onto the institution for you to be where you are today?
For me, it was because I was already a student at UP, so it was a bit smooth because I just applied internally. But then the thing that kind of confused me is when you apply, you don't know for certain which modules you qualify for. So you don't get to know from the beginning that these are the modules that I qualify for. So I just applied and then I got accepted for PGC without knowing the subjects. And then later on, that's when I got to find out that I actually qualify for this subject. So in overall, the process wasn't really problematic or any hiccups. It was smooth for me.
Okay. So Nikita, please take us through the application process. So a person applies, what are then the expectations from then on?
All right. So like Katlego just said, you don't apply for one specific module because students are so unsure what they qualify for. For example, students might think they have 2 years of English and they think they can take English and FET phase when you need 3 years of English. So students apply, we receive the education, the application, we sit with those applications and we look at what does this particular student qualify for? How can we help them? Right? Then we look at how many years of English have you had, how many years of maths and so on. And then we send those applications back to admin, they process it, students get accepted or declined, and then we take it from there.
All right.
Then in the beginning of the year, then we have our orientation day and we tell the students, these are the methodologies that we offer. These are the requirements for each methodology. And then students know, okay, I don't have 3 years of this module, so I'm not able to take this, but I have 3 years of maths. So this is the stream that I'm going to fall into.
Yeah. So it has been popularized, the issue of mental health support, getting to the finish line as a student. What are the structures that are in place to help support students get to graduation in the institution? I'll ask that to you, Prof. Wasserman.
Apologies. Yeah. I think we do sit with a mental health crisis in this country. I think in many ways it was amplified by COVID-19. I think the first port of call for students is invariably Nikita's office, but also the tutors that were within the core modules, then also the staff members. I think it's very, very important to reach out. Not to disappear, and I think it's many a time it's hard not to do that. We also have a designated postgraduate and undergraduate counselors that work within the faculty that we can specifically refer students to. But there's also counseling psychologists on the campus, on the Groenkloof campus where we do the PGCE. There's also similar help on the Hatfield campus. I think, and we display this on the various ClickUp pages, support pages of students, but I think the very first port of call, and many times students are hesitant, is to reach out. Is to myself, Nikita, to any of the staff members, say, please, I have a challenge or a problem. And generally speaking, staff are good with that. And it's maybe their teachers' hearts. So listen, here's a human being that's going to change the life of tens of thousands of people, because teachers changes the lives of tens of thousands of people that we need to help with this challenge. I think we probably can still get better at outreach. We can probably strengthen this during orientation more. Specifically, people that are within the UP system knows the system, but students who come from outside, for them this is a new country. And I think we can still strengthen that. We've gone some way in that regard this year. And Nikita has organized with Education Innovation a session where we try to identify what causes kind of mental health and stress. And one of those is not understanding the curriculum. And how do I fit into this at times complex curriculum? Because you remember the students that enter our world, they come from academic qualifications. They've done a BSc or a BCom and a BA. Now they enter a professional qualification where it's a kind of it's a different world. And I think that is very many a time it's truly challenging for those students. So I think like always, one need to be deeply reflective. How can we get better and not be complacent? And I think one of those places is to deal with at orientation. But I think we could also talk more to students in terms of what, rather than a top-down, I have a bottom-up sense and say, listen, this is where you can improve. And Nikita does, towards the end of the course, such surveys and say, listen, guys, what can we do better? And individual staff members also have course assessments to say what is working, what is not working, what can be improved. And I think we really need to pay close attention to that to be the best we can be for the students.
Thanks, Prof. Katlego.
Yes. My last question was answered, but then I can ask this one. How employable are UP PGC students, graduates?
I think they're very employable. But I think what the UP PGCE students, and we had, what they need to understand is 2 years ago, we had our own quality control measures specifically for our methodologies. And we had outside experts look at it, and it was benchmarked in terms of national standards. So you're very employable. But I think the one thing that PGCE students need to understand, not all of you can stay in Ipitoli, Ikoli. You cannot stay where the bright lights are only. Everyone else wants to stay here. You need to go back many times to your home districts. You need to go into rural schools. You need to move into other towns. You are employable, but you make yourself sometimes hard to employ if you all want to go to the same schools in the same big city. We even have one of our former B.Ed students, not a PhD, working for your foundation. So you're employable. I think it is, and I need to be honest with this, it is challenging in certain provinces if you only have one specialization. There are provinces that insist you need to have 2 subjects to be employed. And Nikita has done a range of career fairs this week where we try and explain to the BCom, BSc, BA students, at least on the Hatfield campus, guys, don't arrive here. You can only teach English. Some provinces would someone say, listen, you're a better appointment in a school if you can teach English and Sepedi. And I'm using those as examples. So employability depends on that choice. So you're more marketable employed if you can do 2 subjects. But in some, you're highly employable, but you have to understand you also need to create your own employment by not necessarily wanting to remain geographically located.
Nikita, the simplest question. Openings for applications, closing dates.
So applications are currently open. They're opened in April, and will be closing 31st of August.
All right. And from the closing date, when should people expect outcomes of the application?
I would say because we do them in batches, so we don't wait for all of the applications to come in and then only start. So it would depend on when you apply. If you are a person who applied the day applications opened, you're going to hear back a lot sooner. If you waited until the last second, then you're probably only going to hear back from us here by October, September.
All right. So, Katlego, you're a JGF candidate fellow. Did you first apply to the university of your choice and then apply to the fellowship, or was it the other way around?
It was actually the other way around.
Oh, do you advise that?
Well, for me, it worked for me because I wasn't sure when to do a PGC. I know doing a PGC was always in the pipeline, but then it wasn't meant to be this soon. So I was actually employed when I applied for the PGCE. And then a friend of mine sent me the JGF application. So that's when I did the application form, and I went through it, and I was actually studying.
Yeah.
When doing the application, I was like, this tedious, long application, is it even worth it? Because in my life, I've never gotten anything. I've never been lucky with any scholarship or whatever. So I did the application, and then I was surprised when I make the selection.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, now it's getting real. So I need to apply to universities now. So I started with the University of Pretoria, because that's when I know the processes and whatever. And I applied internally. And then, I waited. And then the next phase came. I made it. I was like, wow, it's getting real. So if I only applied at UP, then I need to increase my chances and apply at other universities as well. Then that's when I started applying at other universities. But then I ended up choosing UP.
I think a great learning from that is to ease anxieties. Apply to the university, all right? And the fellowship will follow that, because we have found in some instances where people do get the fellowship, do get the scholarship, no university. And JGF is not a university. We empower individuals to be in one of our 6 partner universities. Now, Katlego, with our selection camp, how was that experience for you?
It was wholesome.
Okay.
But also exhausting, because I remember I had to take naps in between the activities, in between sessions, because it requires you to dig deeper, So, it was. So what I like about the selection camp is that it requires you to be yourself. So there's no chance of escaping, and you have to face the hard questions right in front of you. And it's designed in a way that you have to think about yourself and what you want, and be honest, because you can't back up who you are not. So honesty is very important. You need to challenge yourself as well, because I remember there was this other activity about entrepreneurship, and I was like, I don't know anything about entrepreneurship. But then when we were doing the breakout rooms, it turned out my idea was one of the best ideas, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
So and after the selection camp, I was more confident in myself and in my skills and capabilities. I was like, now I cannot be defeated by anything. And then straight afterwards, I got an interview. I got accepted for a job because of what the selection camp did for me. So,
So what advice do you have to someone who's listening, who has applied to JGF and are nervous about the selection camp experience?
What I can say is just be yourself. Just be yourself, because when you are yourself, you are able to answer any question, and you are able to answer it honestly. Then you'll be able to follow through.
Yeah.
Don't try to hide or pretend to be someone else. And that's what I like about JGF, because some applications require you to lie or to be who you're not and whatever.
Yeah.
But then with this one, you just be yourself, and
Lovely stuff. Prof, partnering with JGF in the way that we have, how has that been beneficial, and what has been really the star quality of this kind of partnership that we've had?
I think that's multifaceted. I think the first thing is students have peace of mind. I've been vetted, I've been selected, I have funding, and therefore I will be accepted at the University of Pretoria. I think the second thing is we have people that really want to be teachers. This is not something to do. This is not a job. It is a state of being. That is what, and it sounds a bit old-fashioned maybe, but that's what teachers need to be. Because you fulfill these multiple roles and make these multiple decisions. I think the third aspect is it truly brings, and we're back to your idea of quality, it truly brings a quality dimension. In other words, confident students, confident in themselves, they've gone through rigorous processes, they have been accepted, and they have in their mind's eye an idea where they want to go with their life, but the lives of others as well. And I think those are what's foremost in my mind in terms of what these fellows bring that have been awarded support from the Jakes Gerwel Foundation.
And Nikita, someone who is applying to UP, they are freaking out, they don't know where to start. What advice do you have for them?
Well, my advice for them would be to go onto the university website and first get all the information you need, because I think some students go in head first. They think, let me go straight to the application portal, start this process. Then they haven't even read about the PGCE. They don't know exactly what we offer. They are unsure of, if they even qualify. And then there's this anxiety waiting for months. Am I going to get in? And like I said before, make contact. If you are feeling unsure, make contact with us. I receive so many emails from students asking, do I even qualify? And that will give you some ease. That will help you. So make contact. Don't be scared to make contact. We are here to help.
Thank you so much. Good people, that is the end of our session today. Thank you so much, Prof. Wasserman. Thank you, Nikita, and thank you to our co-host, Katlego. And our takeaway really from this conversation is ask. If you are confused, if you are lost, ask. You may find the answer that you want going into the asking with the question that you think you need. And also, with the Jakes Gerwel Fellowship, being yourself is key. This is not a thing that is dependent on luck. This is not dependent on how well you can perform a thing that you think that we want. What we want is to follow your dream, your conviction towards being a high-impact educator in the South African education system. You know the drill, Gebetuna. Go to your favorite search engine. Type in there, Jakes Gerwel Fellowship. There you'll find all the necessary details about the fellowship itself and how you too can be a candidate fellow in the year 2024. Well, from Groenkloof Education Campus, I am Mathabo Tlali for JGF Amplified, and I'll see you on the other side of this. Cheers.